So in a way, this is all one big sugya from Lamed Gimel base till end. Lamaisa, it really is split up a little bit. So the first sugya we're doing now is really in Simin Tavkuf Tzadik, Sif Aleph to Sif Gimel. That's a shear of Shvarim and Tekias. That's really the Tekias on Lamed Gimel base. The Hemshech of the sugya, the Gabi Dini Hefsekim with Kol Pasol, that's really from Sif Dalet and on in the Simin. That's the next chelik of the sugya. So everyone should really be finishing up, focusing on the Beis Yosef, the Shulchan Aruch, and Ezekiel, and Sif Aleph through Gimel. There's not much in the posting. After you get to the Shainim Kor, it goes pretty quick. So the Mishnah tells us how to be Mekayim mitzvahs Tekias Shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Seder Tekias Shalosh Shalosh Shalosh, Shir Tekias Kishalosh Truos, and Shir Truos Kishalosh Avavos. So the Mishnah describes the shear of a Tekiah and the shear of Memelo, the shear of a Trua with Yevavos. So fine. So the Gemara brings from a Brisa that there's a stira. It sounds like from the Mishnah that the shear of a Tekiah is like Shalosh Truos. So we have 2 koilos, like the Gemara's before in the Hemshech. We have Teisha koilos Mekradin, Chutzim Rabbi Avo that made it to 30 koilos, Chutzim all our Minhagim that make it to 100 koilos, V'chule. So, the Ikra Din is 30, and then we have to add Rabbi Avo and come to 100 koilos. Aklapanim. So the Mishnah's mashma is Gimel Truas. That 1 Tekiah equals to 3 of the middle koilos, whatever that middle koil is of Gimel Truas. In fact, the Gemara, it's more in the Brisa, not like that. The Shir Tekiah is Kid Trua. So the Gemara in the Chanami, really that's what the Mishnah meant. Also, the Mishnah was just talking about Kula Bave, all 3, Lu'umas, all 3, Lafi the Rambam, it's all 6. And Lamaisa, in the end of the day, was Shteit in Brisa, and that's also the sheet of the Mishnah, Lafi Rabbi Shonim. Shir Tekiah, there's a Shir of the Tekiah, and that's Kid Trua. That's Aleph. Then finally the Gemara frags, but it's shver from the Brisa. You're telling me it's Shloshi Yevavos. What is the shear of this Tekiah, which is this true? It's a thing called Shalosh Yevavos. What is the Shalosh Yevavos? The Brisa says it's Shalosh Shvarim. Rashi says, what does it mean Shalosh Shvarim? Shalosh Shvarim means it's longer. It's not just Gimel Yevavos. It's Shvarim. Shvarim are longer than Yevavos. So after Rashi, so after Gemara in Chanami, that's a machlokes. It's a machlokes be'emes. What is the call of a shever or a trua? Is it a genuch ganuch, which is a little bit longer, so after Rashi, or is it Yuliyol, which is what we call a trua, the short kaiches. So Adkan Divrei Gemara. So Lamaisa Nechlechu B'Zeh Rishonim, like we all saw already. How to learn Pasha Pshat in this Mishnah, what the shear of Tekiah Trua and Shalosh Yevavos, and Mizeh is the 2 shittas in Shulchan Aruch, and really the 3 or 4 shittas in the Rishonim. Had in Mekayim what be'emes the shear of the Tekias and the Truas are in Rosh Hashanah. So Rashi says what's be'etzem seems to be the pashtus, that Yevava is just a kol ba'alma. It's before from the Hemshech Gemara that the Yevava is this Yalili, it's just some kind of a short crying. So that's what Rashi says. So Yevava is 1 kayach, 1 tut. Zok the Mishnah, so the shear Tekiah, the way the Gemara answers the Brisa, the shear Tekiah is a trua. The shear trua is Shalosh Yevavos, Zok to Rashi, so it's 2. It's 3 kaychas ba'alma, that is the shear trua, not kafi how we're noying, because we're machma like Tesis. So Kimtech Ois that that's a trua. Mashenkin the Shvarim are longer. How much longer? We don't know how much longer. At least from Rashi, you don't know. It's not clear. From Rashi Alain, it's not clear how much longer exactly is the shever than a trua. If the trua is, we're going to call 1 termit and 1 koyach, so a shever is at least 2 koyches, and maybe longer than 2 koyches. Taisus' shita, but that's Rashi is, it can't get to 3. That's what Taisus says before. It's the shita of the Rash, and that's the Ritva quotes. It can't be 3, because again, Rashi l'shitasoi, since there's a din of shir Tekiah Kitrua, and a trua is 3 koiches, so Tekiah is 3 koiches. So if you have 3 koiches, the length of a Tekiah, so then anytime you have a Tekiah that's 3 koiches long, anytime you have a kol that's 3 koiches long, that's a shem Tekiah, and male that can't be Pasha Shever. So it comes out that, so l'char imkain comes out Pasha, that what's the Shever l'fi Rashi? 2 koiches. The Member says even that's not so Pasha, because the Ritva is before in Shittas Rashi, when he's going in this sheet of Taisus, that L'fi Rashi, you can't be Meirich in your Shever because it's going to turn into a Tekiah already by Gimel Koiches. The Ritva says it's Shtayim v'oid Ma'at. It's before in the Ritva that he wasn't happy with 2. That even B'das Rashi, who's the biggest Chumrah, that a Shever cannot reach Gimel Koiches, which is what the sheet of Shulchan Aruch brings, the sheet of Taisus, but the Ritva says it's still not 2. Why not? So Vaistais, the Ritva had a Shita that 2 is still not Ba L'chlal Genuchi. And like Rashi, the emphasis, we'll see that Gos Hasheri already quotes from the Rashi, and the Beis Yosef brings from that Gos Hasheri that you can't make your shorm too short, even if you Rashi, and he quotes it from Rashi, because the taich of Genuchi Rashi says, so the Ritva kind of said Misvara that Ma'arichin Begini Chosein doesn't mean just a second koyach, meaning the shear of a second koyach. It has to be more than that. It has to be karev to 3. So even if you have this hakpada of not being 3, there's also hakpada of the ritva, it can't be 2. So lefizeh it comes out it's 2.5. The emes is then some poskim, and the Mishna Berurah emes paskins l'maisa like that. That no, lefi Rashi 2 is enough, not like the ritva. So maybe la halacha it's a shayla. We don't really have too much to learn before Rashim. But l'maisa, azoy state in Hagos Hasheri, Hagos state in ritva. Mishna Berurah says l'maisa lefi Rashi. If you make a shever of just 2 koichos, you tackle l'maisa ar yoytze a shever lefi Rashi.
And only a malach according to the ritva.
Oh, so it's very very shred to be mitzamtzim in Chanami, and that's why. So we'll get back to that shayla. That's a good point. So azoy. That's Shitas Tosis V'das Rashi, that Lamaisa, if you can't make your shever as much as 3 koichos, because then it becomes a tekiya. So Beis Yosef already asked the kasha, and Lamaisa, we know this is already a kasha that asked by the Rishonim, the Mordechai of Gos Hasheri. The Lamaisa, that whole chumrah of Tosfos, which is quoted in Shulchan Aruch, the chumrah of Tosfos, that says the chumrah of Tosfos B'das Rashi, that you can't have a shever of 3 koichos, is be'emes a chiddush atzum. Because when do we make shvarim? We make shvarim in the Seder of Tashat and Tashat. That's just for simplicity's sake called Tashat. In Tashat we make a shvarim. But in Tashat, the shear Tekias kisholish shvarim. So what's the problem making your shever the size of a gimel koiches? Gimel koiches is only shear Tekiah in Tarat, not Tashat. So what are you telling to Seder to Seder? That's a Beis Yosef kasha. And the base so many Rishonim say it's Takat Seder Gomer. We don't pass like Tosfos for this reason, because Hagam that in the Seder from Tarati that's the length of the Tekiah, but in the Seder of Tashat that's not the length of the Tekiah. So maybe you could have a shever that long. And that's how the Ramah paskins in Shulchan Aruch and Sif Gimel Tav Patai Sif Gimel. The Ramah says lahalacha lamaisa. Shulchan Aruch brings a sheet of Tosfos that B'das Rashi, the first sheet was sheet of Rashi. You cannot be ma'arich in your shever Gimel koichos. The Ramah says Seder Gomer be ma'arich no problem. We paskin that goes to Shein. It's for this time. What's takap shad in Tosfos? What's takap shad in this Kiddush? So Lamaisa the Beis Yosef reads it doch, and he says a teretz, and that's why the Beis Yosef Lamaisa Alein takap paskins Tosfos that there is such akbada. He says that Hagam that we find in Machlokes. Lefi Rashi comes out there's a Machlokes Tanoi, whether the shvarim is whether the trua is tashad or tarad, whether it's trua or shvarim. Lefi Rashi comes out it's really a double machlokes. Because we have another hilchasa that the shear tekiya is ketrua, so depending on what your trua is, that's your tekiya. Lefi Rashi, trua is only gimel koiches, and shvarim is more. We said maybe 6 koiches, maybe 9 koiches, it's more. So maybe the tekiya also changes. Zok the Beis Yosef, the machlokes is in the shear tekiya. Shear tekiya ketrua. So what is your trua? That's going to be kaveya what the shear of your tekiya is. But that's just the shear. But the shem tekiya was that kuli amalei pligi. So even the shita of tashat that holds that since your middle kol is a shvarim, which is 6 or 9 koichos, so maybe your tekiya has to have a length of 9 koichos. But already once you have a tekiya of gimel koichos, that's shem tekiya. Meaning the Mishnah, when it says shear tekiya, is talking about the shear of something called a tekiya. But at what point is the tekiya already gimel koichos? As I was talking to Beis Yosef, Lamaisa came out word for it like that as first in the Ritva, also explaining the sheet of Tosfos. What's that?
He explains this.
The Beis Yosef says, he says that since it's called Lafi's Shita Zu, it's called a tekiya, then even in Seder Zu, because this is a machlokes Tanoim. Yeah. So it's like a Fushi Plukta Lomali. And the Ritva speaks today. He says, Lafi Tana Bra, it's going to be that's a tekiya, we're going to make that a Shever Kenishnaim. And the Ritva speaks to that's the Beis Yosef.
Even though you're not Yoitzu with that tekiya.
Not Yoitzu, but it's shame tekiya. It's a possible tekiya. Meaning, but there's two things. Now, this is a very important point. This point that we're bringing out, which is the simple pshat in the Beis Yosef to answer up, what is this chumrah all about? Hooray, you're going, it's called a big machmer miseder la seder. From seder tashat, you machmer machmas seder tarat. This chumrah miseder la seder, why? Because we're saying there's a thing called the shem tekiya. The shear tekiya is longer, that's the shear. Meaning, that the Mishnah's mavur, there's a thing called the shear of a tekiya. Now, obviously there has to be a shear of a tekiya, we have to know how to blow the shofar, how many seconds, how many koichas, whatever, how long does your tekiya have to be? But the Maisa, in these Rishonim, in Rashi, and we'll see that side in Rashi and side in Tosfos, there's a shear tekiya is ketrua. That's the shear that's nimser for the kashrus of a tekiya. Ad kedei kach, what we're saying is, you can have a shem tekiya even before that, but it's not a kosher thing until you have the shear, and the shear is azoivi, whatever the true is. So, where do we get this shear? In the whole Gemara, we see there's a whole limud how we figured out that you need 3 truas of Rosh Hashanah. Because we learned from Yovel, we learned from the Midbar. And we know you need a pshut l'fanei, pshut achareh. Where did we get this from? I mean, it's a Mishnah. But where's the Mishnah? Where's the Makar such a thing? That shear tekiya is kitru. Where was it Nikva? Where's the drasha for that? So the Ramban in the drasha Rosh Hashanah says, the Mishnah says it's a shear. Shiur, halachal mishrisina. You shear chatzit mechitza, halachal mishrisina. This is also a shear. Kach nimsu on halacha. The emes is also on the Ran. The Ran quotes Al Derech the Ramban, and the Ran already says a shtickle Torah that it's really a shtickle drasha. It's drasha, because you see that the Gemara says where do we learn Tekias, Kol Pashut, and Kol Shavar, Skatim Trua. So the Psukim already put the Skatim Trua together. That's a mashmos, it's like a hekish that the Tekias and the Trua have to be the same. The Ran who's marchiv this idea of the Ramban. But the Yisod both of them are saying is that there's a shear that was nimston, a shear mesuyim that was given over. And the shear is Kefi the Trua. And Memela that comes out of Machlokes, Dr. Rashi. Is your shear Tekias going to be only Gimel Koiches, Lefi the sheet of Tarat, because Lefi Rashi the Trua is there. And Lefi the sheet of Tashat or Tashrat, it's going to be much longer. And that's the other thing that Tosfos points out to Das Rashi. That since there's such a halacha, and this Tosfos is asking to, since there's such a halacha that Shir Tekias Kitrua, that's a halacha, it's a hilchsa gemiru on Dr. Ramban, it's a drasha Dr. Ramban, it's an emesa halacha. So Memela, when we start doing Rabbi Avo, so Tashrat, in Tashrat the Trua is much longer, it's 18 koiches, however long it is, so your Tekias has to be that long. And in Tashat has to be longer than Tarat. And everything changes because we have to always have the Shir Tekias Kitrua.
So Ramban's Mishabeh too, Josh's.
Yeah. Now, even Tosfos was yeah. Right now, that prat is just Tosfos. The Beis Yosef passes that halacha. Yeah, I'm just saying what the Beis Yosef says. Beis Yosef says since it has a shame Tekias lefi that shita and the shita's proper. Now, Tosfos Alain are masking to this Yisod. Shitas are Tosfos. What's Tosfos' problem with Rashi? Comes Tosfos and says, no, the Rivan were choyluk on Rashi. Rashi, you say that when it says the shear is Gimel Yavavos, that means Gimel Yavavos, 3, Pasha Koiches, 2, 3 Koiches? No. I think each Yavav is 3 Koiches. A very modern kind of time. Meaning, maybe if there'd be some kind of mashmos in the Krah, you have the Gemara bring a raya from a pasuk here that it's this length or that length. Rashi says Yavav is 1 koich, but we think it's 3 koiches. Make it easy. Why? What was driving? What was Tosfos' problem that they decided that Yavav has to become 3 koiches?
Exactly. Rashi itself.
What's that?
Rashi Alain. It says Shalosh Yavavos. The Yavava is 3 koiches times. And then you do 3 of them.
3 times 3.
No, but Tosfos is
3 times 3. You got 9.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. Tosfos says the etzem taich of Yavava. Rashi says it's 2. Says Tosfos no. The etzem word Yavava means 3 koiches. It triples Rashi's shear.
He's saying
He's not saying Pshat.
No. He's saying that Tosfos understood Rashi.
No, Tosfos understood Rashi ganz correct. 100%. No questions. That's what all the Rishonim say. And Tosfos is chalik, and we'll see why. It's Bemis move on. Now, I just want to get this clear. When Tosfos is chalik on Rashi, he's chalik on that prat. And we'll see why, because it's a very strange thing that Tosfos should decide that Yavava means 3. But the etzem din of Shir Tekias Kitrua, that Tosfos is a maskim. So the mashal in Tosfos comes out, this is what the Rishonim points out at least, that Hashad and Tarat are the same thing. Because the Shvarim takes up, let's say, 9 koiches, 3 each, and Huad din Trua, Tosfos tripled the Trua of Rashi. But the mashal of Tosfos, Tashrat, he has the same din, Shir Tekias Kitrua, so you have to make it longer. Tosfos is maskim to that, you say. He just thinks that Rashi got the Trua wrong. But even the Nimsa, that Shir Tekias Kitrua, and the Mela your Shever Lafi Tosfos, he says, you can be Marach K'tzas. But you can't make it too long, because again, if you're going to make it too long, it's going to hit the Shir Tekias. Just Lafi Tosfos, the Shir got a little bit bigger.
We just said that according to Tosfos, did you say that Shvar is equal to Trua?
Yeah, that's Be'emes not... Okay, Enechanami, we're going to get back. That I'm saying that's Hanacha, the Be'emes says that's not Pasha. Enechanami. But let's just say like this, the Trua of Tosfos is longer than the Trua of Rashi. Enechanami. Lagabi the Shvarim, we'll see. Enechanami. Oh, that's very important. Achshav. Okay, so Zochinu Ladin that Lafi Rashi and Lafi Tosfos Shir Tekias Trua, it's halacha l'Moshe Sinai, it's a Shir Nimslan, it's a Joshua, whatever it is, and that's the Shir. Lafi Rashi Memela comes out that the Machlokes Tanoim, whether it's Trua or Shvarim, is also Machlokes l'Gabi the Shir Tekias, and Lafi Tosfos Lav Dafka. Lafi Tosfos we know that Trua is longer, and we don't know is exactly the Shir of Shvarim. We just know Shvarim are longer. We're going to get back to the Shir Shvarim. Now, Tosfos, again, let's go back to this point. Tosfos says that the Rivam held, it's Mistavra as Ninj. No. Yavav Yisholosh Koiches Shal Nimtz is Trua Teisha Koiches. So the pshat is like this: that the pshat that Tosfos couldn't accept Shitas Rashi is because of the ois here from Tosfos. Tosfos had to come. The Nimtz is Trua Teisha Koiches. Tosfos held that if he Rashi that the Trua is going to be given Koiches, it's not going to work. Why not? So the Meiri in this sugya, we'll see in the Hemshech. There's a lot of very chashim Meiris in the Magen Avos that printed it. But in this sugya, so the Meiri is going through the pshat in the Mishnah. And the Meiri points out that comes out Lefi Rashi, if you learn what the Pashut Pshat Yevava is, so it comes out that a Trua is Gimel Koiches, that the Meiri is okay with. But Shir Tekiya Ketrua comes out that the Tekiya is only Gimel Koiches. So like the Meiri, it can't be. How could you have a Tekiya, Gimel Koiches? When the Torah says, V'havarta Shofar, a Kol Havara, a Kol Pshuta, so up there are 3 Koiches, is not a Kol Havara. Kol Havara is mashman, has to be longer than that. V'chi Ola Al Dasa Tanish, Lo Teha Tekiya, El Kishir Sholosh Trimutois, only 3 Koiches, Ze Efshir. And then he points out that Shitas Rambam is that the Tekiya is only Kechetzi Trua. And the Meiri and the Ramban Bemes entertain the possibility, at least, that the Rambam holds Trua is like Rashi. It's Gimel Koiches. Kim Techois, how much is a Tekiya? 1.5 Koiches. So the Meiri, and especially if you're going to learn like that Shita, that it's going to come out of Trua is a Trimut V'chetzi. Ve'ein Elu El Dvarim Shal Tiflus. To think that a Tekiya could be 1 Koich and a half is Stam Dvarim B'Telim, so the Meiri. So the Koich Zeh, the Meiri has a whole different sheet. He says that Seder, the Havmin was Takashver, to think it was ever really 3 koiches. Because even Zichar the Rambam, that's Mamish Devi Tiflus of it. But that might not be Sheet's Rambam Be'emes, but the Sheeta to say that it's 1.5 is Mamish a joke. Even 3 is what the Meiri is Ef Shalom Markein. And the Meiri is like Meiri, really what happens in the Gemara and the Hemshech. And this is the Sheeta, the famous Sheeta of the Ravid, the place can bring, the Ravid, the Meiri, and the Rashba. And when the Gemara, ultimately says the Machloik is Genuchi Ganach, Yilu Yolul, then we're throwing out the first teretz of Abaye, and be'emes it's in Gantzen of Machlokes. So the Meiri says like this: En Chanami, a Trua is Gimel Koiches, like Rashi said, because why would it be Mitzi the pasuk Mipshuto and the Etzem Taicha Yivava means 3 Koiches, 2, 2, 2. That's 3 Yivavas. Each Yivava is a 2. So you know, La Maskana, the Mishnah says Shir Tekiya Ketrua, and Trua is Shlosh Yivavos. It means, I'm sorry, the Mishnah again Kipshuta, but in the Havamina that's really what applies. The Mishnah is Kipshuta. So the Shir Tekiya is Kishlosh Truas. So a Trua is only 3, but a Shir Tekiya is 3 times, and Memela it's 9. And it's a Gantzah Mapecha, the Gemara is Chayzer from the whole thing, and there's no such din of Shir Tekiya Ketrua. Okay, so we're going to get back to the Meiri. So I'm just pointing out is that Yitachin, that was bothering Tosfos. But Lefi Rashi, a Yevava is 1 Koyach, and Memela, a Tekiya is 3 Koyachos, Dr. Yivava, it's not Mistaver. And why? So that's like the Meiri already says, we have a Makar Rishonim, that the Havarta, a Kol Pashut, the Ramban has a whole thing that's a kol like a shear, that when you're coming to make a havaras kol, that's mashma, has to be something longer than 3, and 3 is not pasnish to have a shem tekiya. And the meilah has to come to 9. So it could be that's why Tosfos was also about it. Narvas. Tosfos learned al derech Rashi. Shir tekiya is ketrua. So Zak Tosfos, so the meilah, the trua can't be 3. If the trua is 3, then tekiya is 3. So it can't be. So what was Tosfos Eitzah? Tosfos Eitzah was to make the Trua bigger. Make the Yevavas, I'll multiply it by 3. We don't exactly know what the Yevava is. Must be the Yevava is bigger, it's 3. So Memela, what do you gain by that? Nim says that it's Teisha, and Memela, the din of Shir Tekiya Ketrua, works out, and it makes a normal kol that can be called a kol Tekiya. Meaning like this, the Tosfos had a Hanachim Yisavara, that in order to have a Shem Tekiya, it has to be 9 koiches. So that was the Tainan Rashi. You're right, Rashi. There's a din Shir Tekiya Ketrua, and that's why the Tashrat of Tosfos had to be longer than his Tashrat and Tarat, because it always gets bigger if you the Trua. But Tosfos worked backwards. He had to make the Trua 9 in order that the Tekiya could have a Shem Tekiya Kemvur b'Meiri. That was the Taina on Rashi. That is the Taina on this Shita.
This was a shot, the Meiri gave a shot in Rashi.
No, the Meir's not going in Rashi.
Not
No.
explaining Rashi?
He's Chaluk on Rashi. He's Chaluk on Rashi. Clark says it can't be. Now, what's the difference that Meiri than
Well,
Tosfos?
why can't we say that masking that?
Rashi's clear.
Three of us.
No.
And the shot in the Mishnah is Pshuto, 1 equals 3.
Right, so I'm saying, so there's no indication, at least in Rashi, we don't know how long, there's no indication in Rashi that Lamaskana, we fall off the first Abaye that stemmed the mission of the Brisa. That's the Chiddush of the Meiri and the Ravid. Now, Lamisboini, the Dover Gadol Diber HaMeiri, and that's what's Mavur in the Ravid in his Drashos Rosh Hashanah, and that's Barichos in the Rashba. If you learn like the Meiri, so the Meiri had the same problem. Just Tosfos had a Shita, Shir Tekiya Ketrua. So he had to say, if Shir Tekiya Ketrua, must be that the Trua is Betzim 9. The Meiri, the Ravid, they say different. They say the Gemara is a Mapecha. We're Chayzim the whole thing. And ultimately, the Trua leave Yevavas. Yevavas are just 3 koiches. But you can't have a Tekiya that long. And the Mishnah is Kipshuta Lamaskana. The Mishnah says Shir Tekiya Kishalish Truas. Now, comes out that Lefi the Meiri, there's a big machlokes between the Tana of the Brisa and the Tana of the Mishnah. The Tana of the Mishnah holds Shir Tekiya is Kishalish Truas. Tana of the Brisa holds Shir Tekiya is Ketrua Achas. What happened to the Klal? What happened to the Halach L'Mosh Misina of the Ramban? That it's Halach L'Mosh Misina, Shir Tekiya Ketrua. So What's the halach Moshe Messina? What's the shear? The Ran said it's a pasuk. Avarta Shofar. They have to be the same thing. Tekias and the true have to be the same thing. It says the Miri, no, that's called Gufa Machlokes kit. Like 3 truas, like 1 trua. So the Hezber is before in the Rashba. The sheet of the Miri is the sheet of the Rashba. And the Rashba is Masbir Barichos that these Rishonim are chaylik on this Yisoid Gufa. In Rashi and Tosfos Mavur, that there's a thing called a sheer Tekias. Ad kedei kach that it could be a shame Tekias, and it just doesn't have the sheer, so it's possible because it's chaser in the sheer, but it's shame Tekias. There's a thing called a sheer Tekias. The Ramban says, Allah Mashina. The Ramban says it's the possible. So the Rashba, loy hoyad var me'od. There's no such thing. So the Rashba, the mash shonu bebraisa sheer Tekias ketrua lav zir sakasav talula. That wasn't a din that there's halach hilchasa. And like we pointed out, there's talking no hilchasa. We don't find the Gemara anywhere. The Rishonim said, the Ramban said it's in the Mishnah. It's a sheer. So vice dois hilchasa gemir. So the Rashba loy hadan. The loy ksiv be'araisa sheer loy letkiya of loy letrua. Ella, all we know is like the Rashba zazoy. Midechsiv v'havarta. The Hainu Pshuta, it's a Kol Pashot, Shiru Chachamim Me'oimer Hadas, She'em Pshuta B'chus Mishir Zeh, Teskoich, which is Teskoichos. So up the Rashba, there's no such halach, Shir Tekias Ketshua. It was a total arbitrary Tzushtol to Simen Ba'alma. Meaning, so Lafi this Tana who happened to have truas of Gimel Koichos, of just 3 of others, of 2. So he said, okay, what's a Tekias? Everyone knows, it's not Mahanocha Pshuta, Me'oimer Hadas, Chazal had a svara that a Tekias is Teskoichos. So Mela, Lafimi says the Tana the Brisa, it stems with 3 truas. Lafi the Tana the Brisa, it stems with 1 trua, because his trua is the Shvarim, which is long, which is 9. But there was no din, there's no hilchasa, and the Mela, the Rashba had no, the Rashba has no problem saying that Shir Tekias Kigimel truas, because ultimately it's just a Siman Ba'alma, and the Shir Tekias is Misvar. So,
That's what he
the Nafkamina.
So he holds on a Tashrat.
Oh, and the Nafkamina is Bidyo. The Nafkamina is Azoy. That Lafi Tosfos, again, it comes out like this. The Lafi Rashi, the Trua is 3 koiches. Lafi Tosfos and Lafi the Rashba, the Trua is Be'emes Tes koiches. But it's a different Yisoid. Lafi Tosfos, the Yisoid from Shir Tekias Trua. Lafi the Rashba, that's just a Svar Balman. That's the Chiddush of the Rashba, Nafkamina Ladina, which the place can bring, or Samichan, by finding Musyomi, is that it doesn't change. Tosfos all Yisoid then. Tashrat, it has to be this big, and Tarat, this big, and Tashat, this big. And that's cool for the Rashba coming to Yichaylik. The Rashba says the shear of Tekias was a svar of pshuta, oimedas of chazal. It doesn't change ever. It doesn't change. Doesn't have to get longer for tashrat. It's not allowed to get shorter for tarat. It always blinds at 9 because it was a svar chitzayna to be kaveh that the shear Tekias is k'teish koiches, and that's the sheet of the Rashba.
But it does come out of Chumna that if the Shofar is very, very long in the Tashrat, possible.
Yeah, meaning like this. What you're saying is like this. The shear shever, fi Rashi, you have to be very careful. You can't even get gimel koiches. Lafi Tosfos, if you're in a tashrat, if you're mekel, let's go with Tosfos. So Lafi Tosfos, if not mamish Tosfos, but let's say you're mekel, like the Ramaz mekel, and that in tashat or in tashrat you could go as long as that siman. So Lafi Zeh, the place can speak out. Meker adin, how long could a shever be in tashrat? Your shever could be up to 17 koiches, because the tekiya of that seder is only 18 koiches. So you can go up to 17. The Poskim will point out you shouldn't do that because of the Ravid, because of the Meiri, because according to them it's always 9 koiches is always a Tekias because that's the mahus of a Tekias, no matter what. It's not telling anything else. So you should always be zar, never to go past the Tekias of up to a Tekias of 9 because then you're ready to be over.
No,
I'm sorry, not Marach in a Tekias, Marach in a Shever. The Rashba has a different din that you can be Marach in both, but without that.
Everything we just said is assuming that in Tashrat or places, Shvarim equals 9, 3 Shvarim equals 9 koiches.
Seder, so let it be 9 or let it be 6. But either way, I'm just saying either way, that din applies. Lafi Tosfos. You have to be careful that your shever. I'm sorry, in Tashrat you have leeway. Let's say Shvarim are just 6 koiches. You can at least go until 15. So Mashen Kain, the Poskim, Mishnah says you should be very careful not to do that because Lamaisa Lafi the Ravid, Rashba Meiri, the Rishonim.
So Rashba won't come out.
Yeah, he was. He would agree that you can't be longer than 9. That's what I'm saying. The Ramaz Mekel. Halacha l'maisa were Mekel about that shayk. You're allowed to be Ma'arich in each Seder. The Shever can go until that Seder's Tekias.
It can't be more than
According to Rashba,
Be the Rashba, the
can be more than 9.
Tekias?
That's the minimum.
No, it's minimum. It's minimum. It's a minimum, but it's absolute. No matter which Seder you and where you are, who you are, you get to you don't hit 9. You're not holding by a Tekias. You are that because that's limitas. It's pashid. It's perushim mikros. The pasuk says vavarta. There's no hilchasa. It's a pasuk.
Be marach in the Shvarim it won't help that you would marry from Tekias more.
According to the Rashba, it would. He says
That
he
happens
says
to
it.
not be true.
He says it.
The Rashba himself says a svar, but that's a different Nekuda. We're going to get back to that Nekuda. The Rashba says that you could be married in the Shever as long as married, that it's Yachasi. That's a different svar. If I care, I think that's no.
So he doesn't know the
That's- Exactly. That's goof of the Vart. The Rashba Alain holds it's all Me'imir Adas. No Hilchas Gemirilah. So the Rashba is mark of that Chiddush to say. So what happens? The Rashba has a different Chiddush. Let's say you make your Shever 12 or 15. Says the Rashba, it's a Tekias because Me'imir Adas is Tekias. Says the Rashba, but Balt that's only Me'imir Hadas. So if Minei Bey in that Seder, you could be Mechiach to us that that's a Shever. How could you be Mechiach that's a Gasher? Make the Tekias longer. It's a harchav of the Chiddush, but I think it's Lashtas. Okay.
So then who do you hold that holds this chumrah that because of Oyim Das you can never have a shevet that's longer than 8? You bring that from the Rashba. Well, nice the Rashba himself doesn't.
Rashba holds of it unless you're marchiv your Tekias. If you keep a regular Tekias, then you can't. That's the Rashba, and it's a Meiri and a Ravid. The Ravid, as far as we know, holds, and that's what the place can assume. The Ravid doesn't accept the second Chiddush of the Rashba of being march both, and Mela at 9 you're out, and the Mishnah Berurah says you have to be march for that sheet.
The way the Rashba says, you didn't give it. It didn't become a Tekias. It's just that people are not going to be able to.
Right. So they're all asking, and correctly so, that the Rashba Alein Lamaisa says that there's an Oymen Hadas does say it's a Tekias. So what do you mean you didn't make a Tekias? It's a Tekias. Teretz is that because it's not a Hilchas of Shiurin, it's just that was the Svar of Chazal. So it says the Rashba, I'll tell you noch a Svar. And if you can be Mechiach Menei Bey in that Seder, then this Umazeh, okay. So these are the Shitas Legabe Trua and Legabe Tekias. Lefi Rashi, the Shir Tekias changes whether you hold a Shvarim or Trua because of Shir Tekias Trua. We pointed out that the Rishonim L'chayra, Tosfos, the Meiri's Mefurish L'chayra, that was bothering Tosfos as well, that they held that Misvari can't have such a thing called the Tekias of Gimel Koiches. Iyaf Shaloiber can't talk to me. And Mikoyach said, there's two Mahalchim in the Rishonim, had to fix up the problem with Rashi. Tosfos just triples the Trua, but he still goes al derech Rashi, the Shir Tekias Trua, and the Nafkamina is your Tekias always has to be like your Trua. And the Meiri, the Ravid, the Rashba have a different Mahalach that Avad also they have this problem. Also, Avad can't be 3 koiches; it's 9, and they're just koifer bakol in the ganze shir. There's no such shir of Tekias Trua. It's a svara that's the length of a Tekias no matter what. What's not clear, as what Maor was asking, pointing out on this, is all mefurish klapi shir Trua, leumas shir Tekias and Trua. What about shvarim? The din of shvarim, the genuchi ganach. How long is genuchi ganach? So we pointed out the one makar we have, the one klarzach we have, is Shitas Rashi. That we cheshbin lefi Rashi. Let's go even lefi Tosfos. Right? We pointed out la halacha the Ramaz Mekel that even in Rashi you don't go miseder to seder, so you can really make longer shvarim. But the one shita and the mechaber's brings the shita v'das Rashi that we are machmer miseder to seder. So it comes out we have a very simple cheshbon. 1 koyach, that's a trua, that's a termit. 3 koychos, that's a tekias. So where does a shever go? So the Ritva Pashat makes the mathematical cheshbon, very simple cheshbon, comes out right in between, 2. The Ritva, like we pointed out, the Ritva points out it's really 2 plus, but it's somewhere between 1 and 3. So let's just for argument's sake, let's leave the Ritva's 2 and a 2 of a mashal. Let's leave it at 2. The Pasha says it's 2. That's bemis with the Matafraim Paskins. That Lefi Rashi a shever is the shear of 2, and the ganze shvarm would be 6 koiches, 3 times 2. Now, that we have. Let's say Mefurish in Rashi, because Lefi Rashi it's a problem. Again, Lefi that shita, that if you marry Lefi Rashi it's a problem. So comes Tosfos says this Kenish Zayin. It can't be that Tosfos cholok on Rashi's true. The true is not just 3 koiches; it's more. It's 9 koiches because he changed his mind about Yavava. That's only Lagabe true. Lagabe Shvarim, we don't find anywhere in Mefurish that Tosfos is cholok on Rashi Shvarim. He's cholok on Rashi's Lahedi says you got it wrong Yavavas. Not true. They're really not 3; they're 9 Yavavas. But he doesn't argue on Shvarim Lahedi, which leaves Mokum to say. And the MS Kach Mavur in the Yad Ephraim shot in the Taz, the very shver Taz in our Simon. Yad Ephraim said shot in Taz. Kach Muva I saw b'shem the Yavitz in one of his Svarim Koil Shel Svarim that Tenachanami Bazer Loi Pligi. So the shever of Rashi, which is let's say 2 koiches, Tosfos could agree to. Tosfos could agree that a shever is only 2 koiches and Shvarim is only 6 koiches. But even the Nimsa that Lefi Rashi true is 3 koiches and shever is 6 koiches. The ganze Shvarim. And Lefi Tosfos fakert. True is longer. True is 9 koiches. That's before Tosfos. But shever he never argued with Rashi. So Shever's taka is shorter, and the Yavit's taka says that lahedya. That Shever could be shorter Lefi Tosfos. Now this. What's that?
Based on the Shalosh Yevavos is Teisha.
Shlosh Yevavos is Teisha. That's only truest, but Shvarim Lamatzinu Shapli. Now, let's just hold for a second. This is l'chor not true. I think you get.
Well, you need a
This is
second share. The Gemara says
arguing
Gemara says true if you only have others.
It's not longer. At that point, Al Etzem Taich, right? No. So Azoi, the Etzem
But they're
Shever,
saying that it has to be
the
longer.
Etzem Kol of the Shever is longer. Right?
But they're saying it has to.
But the overall coil
has to
will be
reach.
longer Lefi Rashi Trua. I'm sorry, longer Lefi Rashi Shvarim, and Lefi Tosfos the overall Trua will be longer than the Shvarim. Now, if you would say this, it would be a gevaldige
So
Reva
they're saying
Halach
to
L'maisa.
do two.
1 second. For what we're saying to do, let's just chap the nafkamin. The nafkamin is as it would come out. We have a big problem. There's no klor hachron in the machlokes Rashi Tosfos, so we don't really know what to do. So Lagabi True, it's very simple. Just be machmir, because Lafi Rashi, like all the Rishonim say, you allowed to be marich, you allowed to add more two. The average tashrat, the average tarat, Baltikir does. It's usually doing 17, 18 koiches. It's way over. So beseder. So be machmir. But by shvarim, l'chayr, we're stuck. We could theoretically get stuck. How could we get stuck? Lafi Rashi, the shever has to be less than 3. Again, Lafi that chumrah of Tosfos. So if Lafi Tosfos, a shever has to be longer, then we're going to have to pick between the two Rishonim. But if we would say that in the shever there's no machlokes, it would be geshmak, then we would say, halach l'maisa, we have a question what to do, and this is a question, halach l'maisa, how long should you make your shever? So Lafi Zeh would come out, very geshmak, just make a shever, 2 koiches, and you could be yotzei l'kuli alma. Because 2 koiches is being yotzei zayin Rashi, you're not going too long to make it a tekiya. And the Rishonim never argued on that, so then that would be the geshmak eitzah to always make a shever of 2 koiches. What's that?
How long?
What do you mean for how long?
For 9.
2 times 3? No, just to 6.
6.
And it doesn't have to reach 9. It doesn't have to reach a total of 9. And that's be'emes what the Yavit says, and the Yad Ephraim Shat in the Taz. The Maisa is that halacha it's not true, and kach mavur in many Rishonim. Many Rishonim are mavur that the sheet of the Rishonim that a trua is 9 koiches, is 9 termita, not like Rashi's 3, but it goes up to 9. The trua, 2 is 9. Shvarim are also a total of 9. Not like Rashi, not 6. Lafi Rashi, if you have 9, that means you went over. That means you have 3 Tekias already. The Rishonim mavur, and both things are mavur in the Rishonim. Say that each shever is 3 koiches, and that the total is 9. They make the math, but you'll see that's taka significant. And that's mavur in the Rashba says lahedya, that in Tashrat it's 18. 18 means that the true is 9, and the shvarm are 9, and 3 of 3. In the Iri's mafurish, it's that each one is 3. 3 times 3, you come to 9. And what's more mafurish is, and that's Shopel on the Yavitz, that's mafurish in the Torah. The Torah brings a sheet of Bala Itter, that first he brings Shitas Rashi, that the overall shvarim are longer than the trua. And he points out, the Bala Itter says, no, Mistarva, that it's not true. There's different ways how to learn that Bala Itter, the Beis Yosef is different Mahalchim, but the Pashup Shat in the Bala Itter, the way the Beis Yosef in his first Mahalach, and the way the Prisha and the Drisha explain it, the Bala Itter is saying, no. Trua and shvarim, Lafi the Rishonim that are arguing on Rashi, and they say that the true is 9, the shvarim is also 9. They're the same. What's that? Yeah, and then if you hold of the sheer Tekiya Trua, then it would have to be 18.
It's the same, it's a Nicker that's a Shed. It's the same as the Tekiya. The whole sheet would have to be long.
Yeah, you have to, Lafi each day. Now,
So the Yad Ephraim or the Yavit said to do how much?
that's what they said to do. They just point out that the Shita of the Rishonim is that they argue on Shuras of Rashi. They don't argue on the Shefa of Rashi. It comes out Shitas Tosfos. How the Yavit's passing, I don't know. We have to check what the Yavit's passing. But what he says is that Halacha Maisa would come out.
So you need 6?
Clearly, the Yavitz would tell you to make a Shefa of 2. Because then you're Yotzim, Kul Yalm, Mishal Ma'iso.
3 times 2.
3 times 2. Exactly. 3 koiches of 2, of 2 each. Now, well, the Maisa is before in the Rishonim. Not like that. It's before in the Bala Itter. That bedas the Rishonim, the true and the Tekiya. Ad kedei kach, it's a shtickle shaylim shat. Because the Gemara has a kasha, which is exactly what Rashi's saying. The Gemara says, you answered one kasha. How do you answer this question? Frankly, Gemara, you're telling me that it's shlosh yevavos. It's not shlosh yevavos. It's shlosh shvarim. That's the same thing. That's what Rishonim point out. The Rashba says it lahedya. The Bala says it lahedya. So the Teretz is, come out before there in the Bala Itter and the Beis Yosef, that the Gemara's kasha wasn't klapi the shir. It was klapi the atzim tzura. The question was, you're telling me that's a shever? A shever is yevavos, is little koiches? Oh, so there's a shaila if it's kishloisha or it's shloisha. So if you learn like the Girsa is Shloisha, it's Shtikal Mor Nicha. That the Pshat is like this. The Mishnah said the Shir Tekiya is Shloish Yavavos. It is Shloish Yavavos. That's what it is. Mashenkin here, Mashenkin the Bryce held, it is Shloish Shvarm, and that's what's the Kasha? The Kasha is not in the overall Shir. It's that the Tzur is different, that each call is different. The Kamash Malon in the Chanami, that's Machloik's Gmut Ganach Yuliyol. But the question still is, what?
Let's say the share of the kids without the spaces.
Yeah, unless you make that the Machloikis in the Chanami. Now, the Yavitz and the Yad Ephraim were saying Pshat Nataz, they have a point. Ad kan lo motzinu. What was Machriach the Rishonim? The Rashba to say it's Shaveh, Teisha v'Teisha, and the Meiri to say that each Shever is 3. Why do you have to make a Machloikis? I mean, after all, Rashi's very geschmack. What do we know from the Gemara already? The Pashup Pshat. The Yelul Yol is 1 koyach, that's klar, 2 meat, and just 2. And Genuch Eganich means it has to get epis longer. So why do we have to jump to 3? Like Mechtes we have to jump to 3. Let it be 2. Rashi said it's 2. What's the problem with that thing? So there's 2 possible explanations for this thing. One is Hein Advarim, is Lefi the same way we were Masbir, Bechlal, why was Taisus Chalak and Rashi's true? Why did he decide that it has to be, no, Yavav is not 1, Kaichas it's 3? So we were Masbir, Al Pi the Meiri, that really they were just working backwards. Since there's a din of Shir Tekiya Ketrua, you can't have a Tekiya of 3 Kaichas. So it must be the true is 9 Kaichas. So Lafizeh, and that's what Emes Mashma from the Rishonim. They just understood for a Davar Pashut. It's all Klachiyad. The Rashba doesn't say and make any major Asik out of it. He just says for a Davar Pashut. Avad, the Sharm is also 9 and it's 18 total. It's all Pashut. Why? Because it's the same din. Shir Tekiya Ketrua. So Lafi the Braisa, Rashi said Shir Tekiya Ketrua comes out that it's 3 Kaichas. So if the Pshat and Taisus and the Rishonim is that can't be, that's not a Tekiya, 3 Kaichas and Tekiya. So what is Yad Tekiya? So Taisus said it must be that the true is 9 Kaichas. What was his point in saying it's 9 Kaichas? Because Misvari held that you can't have a trua, you can't have a Tekiya unless it's 9 Kaichas. Not a Kol Havara, it's not a Kol Pashla. Azoivi Lufi the Rashba. Like the Rashba said, that was the Oimid Das of Chazal. So Taisus also held that Misvara. Taisus plugged it into the Shir Tekiya Ketrua. But Lamaisa he had the same Svara that in order to be a Shem Tekiya it has to be 9. So Imkain, Hu Hadin, Hu Hatam, Advar Mshutin, that when you come to Shever, so we don't see that the Rishonim argue on Shever, but it's the same Machloikis. The same reason the Rishonim all were bothered with Rashi's Trua, they're bothered with the Shvar for the same reason. Because Shir Tekiya Keshever, Shir Tekiya Ketrua means Shir Tekiya Keshever. So if the Shvar, the Tekiya has to be 9. That's the Svar of the Rashba, and that's the Svar of Taisus. That's what I'm talking about, the Meiri. So if there's a Svar that a Tekiya has to be 9, then the middle curl has to add up to 9. So it's all just Dvarim Pshutim. That's what's before from the Rishonim. Everything is just Azoivi, this is 9, this is also 9. That's what Rishonim say. This is 9, this is 9. 3, 3, and 3, and 9. Because Misvara, they have to have a Tekiya of 9. So to have a Tekiya of 9, you just have to plug in. Trua becomes 9, and Shvarim have to become 9. How do you make Shvarim 9? Very simple. You take the Shloisha Shvarim of the Gemara, you divide it by 3, and you have 3 Kaichas.
Don't do the other Rishonim. Rashba, you don't need it doesn't have to be equal to the Tekiya.
In a Chanami, Lefi the Rashba, it's not true. Lefi the Rashba, forget the Tekiya is just a Svar. It happens to be it's Takum first from the Gemara. Lefi the Rashba also. Lamaisa the Rashba has a Gemara that says Shir Tekiya Kishloish Shvarim, right? So it's not the Hilchasa, but the Rashba has a Svar. He knows Tekiya is always 9. So the Rashba has also a Mefurish Gemara Shir Tekiya Kishloish Shvarim, which means that it's 9.
You were saying the Machlok.
No. But the Machlok is not about the Shir. The Rashba points out like it's not a Machlok. It's not a Machlok. It's about the Shir. The Shir is the same. It's 9 and 9. It's just a question about the Tzur. But the Shir is the same. You're right. It's not Lafi the Rashba. It's not the Hilchos of Shir Tekiya Trua. But there's a first Gemara. The Gemara says Tekiya is the Shir of a Trua, and so if Shvarim are 9, so then if a Tekiya has to be 9, then Memela we know for a Davar Pasha that the Shvarim have to be 9.
So there's no way to make Shvarim Kuliam.
Oh, very good. So now we have a problem. Now it's not going to be so glatt like Lafi the Yavitz and Lafi the Adfai. And now we have no simple eitzes. Because what we're saying is, Kim Techai is the first one to Rishonim. Is that Lafi Rashi, you cannot make a Shever more than 2. Or maybe 2.5 Zok the Ritva. If you hit 3 Lafi Rashi, that Rashi is brought in Shulchan Aruch. If you hit a Koyach of 3, you're a Tekiya, you're possible. And now we're saying that Lafi the Rishonim. And again, Kipshuta just push it from the Cheshbin, that the Shvarim have to equal a Tekiya, and they know what Tekiya is Taz. Comes out that a Shever has to Dafka be 3. So now we have to choose.
Why is
now
it
we have
Chaliskin?
What do you mean?
Maybe it's all together.
What's altogether 9?
The Rishonim are being
Okay, so we'll get that time. Lamaisa Azoi. The Gemara says it's 3.
We're saying the Pshat also does.
What's that?
We're saying the Pshat even in Tosis. So Tosis himself entertains the idea to make sure that each Shever and Tashrak will not be 3. So the Shitaso he wasn't Yotze.
In Rashi, what do you mean?
It says when you want to be Machshir for right?
For Rashi.
So if you messed up, it was wrong, at least your Shever shouldn't have been more than 2.9. We'll never do that. Because Lashitaso he wasn't Yotze. Forget the Kia.
No, Tosis Lashitaso could have a Shever longer. It says Lahedi, it could be
Longer,
Marach
not shorter according to what we're suggesting now.
Chanami, can't be short.
Not shorter.
Not
So
short.
you're saying, so if you messed up and your Kia wasn't so long, he's giving you an Eitzah, right? You messed up on your first Kia, so at least the Shvarim make sure not to make 3 Koylosi. What do you mean?
You're saying Stimas Divrei HaTosus leave Makam to say
That
that
Shvarim
even in
is less
Tosus
than
is
3.
less. In a Chanami. And that's why I didn't quote Tosus. Because in Tosus is Takanama first. But I did quote a
How do we
Rashba,
see this
Meiri, and a
less? How
Baal
do we see in Tosis as less?
Tosus doesn't say. If you read Tosus, you could
It just
understand
says
that the
you
Rishonim
get more.
argue on Shua, they don't argue on Shvarim. So Mar is saying that maybe Lefi Tosus you could learn that the Riva was masking. So I'm saying the Baal Eter, which the Beis Yosef says is the same sheet of the Riva, meaning in all the other Rishonim, I'm just saying L'chayr Ba'azeh V'Gila Zeh, we have all the other Rishonim that go B'Shitas HaRishonim, and they all say for another Pasha this time. Now I'm just pointing out that Lefi my Hezber in Tosus, that the reason Tosus was chaylik on Rashi's Trua is because Tosus held like the Svar of the Rash, but you have to, in order to be a Tekias, it has to be 9. Then Memela, it would follow for a Davar Pashut that they would also argue on the Shvar. But you're right, it's not the first in Tosus.
The Bach is
One second.
Maybe
So
maybe they only
Lamaisa
argue
Ad
that
Kan
Shvarim should be
Zochinu. We're going to get to the Bach right now.
Shvarim
Ad Kan
should be
Zochinu that the coil of Shvarim, Lefi the Rishonim, has to be 9 because it has to stem with the Tekiah. So mainly get to 9. But Lefi Rashi, we're stuck that it has to be less. Now, we already pointed out that it's Machlokes Rishonim B'das Rashi. Do you have to be Machmir Rashi? Tosis says yes. The Gos HaSheri says no. The Machaber's Machmir. The Ramah is Mekel. The Ramah says in Tav Tzaz and Gimel, you can be Mekel and have longer Shvar. Now, the Pasha and Mashmos the Gos HaSheri, if you read it, Beis Yosef quotes it, is that you could go longer. It's no problem. You don't have to be Machmir Miseder L'Seder. You could go longer. You could have a longer Shever. But not that you have to have a longer Shever. Shever is far 2.5. Zok the Bach, it's not true. Zok the Bach, that which we're chaylik on Tosfos, it's mikatz al katz. Tosfos is wrong, first of all, Zok the Bach. We pass like the Ramah, that you could be marich in your Shever. Zok the Bach, Ubi Yoser, you have to be marich in your Shever. Lefi Rashi, you also must have a Shever of Gimel Koiches. Not like the Yavitz that Sai Lefi Rashi and Ilu Fi the Rishonim it's 2, now we're saying Fakir. Lefi the Rishonim it's Klar, that's Takam first Rishonim, a Shever is 3. Zok the Bach, Lefi Rashi it's also 3. Why? Because once we don't accept Zok the Bach, once we don't accept the Shita of Tosfos, that once you hit 3, you're Machmir Meseder L'Seder, it's a Tekiah, so Seder, you don't accept that Chumrah, so you're allowed to go longer, but why should you have to go longer? I mean, Levaisa, you see in Rashi, it's longer than a Shever, so who said it has to be longer than 2? And you can't say Lefi Rashi that you have to plug it into a Tekiah, because by Rashi, the Tekiyas are taka shorter. So Azoi. Meaning Rashi, Lefi Rashi, the Tekiah is always Mishtan. Rashi doesn't have any Svar that a Tekiah has to be 9. So let your Shvar be 2, 2, and 2, and the Tekiah will be 6, which is fine, Lefi Rashi. So the Bach points out there's another reason why the Shever has to be 3, and that's why the Bach says Halach Ma'aseh you have to be Machmir that even V'das Rashi you must make it 3. Why? And he quotes in the Beis Yosef. I mean, the Beis Yosef in front of me, but the Gos HaSheri just says like this. Gos HaSheri quotes a Shita. Then there's a minhag to make short Tekiyas, to make short Shvar. Because of Rashi, because of Shita's Tosfos. And then in the Gos HaSheri, the Mordechai Gos HaSheri, I think it's actually Mordechai quotes from Mahariach, that he says no, you should not make them so short. And if you're makatzer in your shvarim, if you're going to be makatzer in your shvarim, you're not going to be yotze. Why? And he quotes Rashi, quotes this Rashi, that marichem begini chaysein. So says the Bach, the pshat is that chutz from the question of plugging in the shvarim and the trua to a tekiah, and mamela vising on the trua and the shvarim that it has to be 9 because it has to match up with the tekiah. Rashi doesn't have that cheshbon. It's like the Bach, but Rashi is a different cheshbon. Like the Rishonim, Agos HaSheri quotes from Rashi, that marichem begini chaysein means that if you're makatzer too much, it's not a kol ginuach. Kol ginuach means with being marich. Being marich means zok misvar the Rishonim, the Hagos HaSheri, not 2 koyach. Just 2 is 1 koyach. 2, the koyach of just a second koyach, that's not enough to be a marich. That's not called marich. Marich is only once you get out of beyond 2. Only once you get to 3 zok the Bach. So memela ba'ofen that the Ramah who says you could be marich, it's not just that you could be marich. Memela you have to be marich. Even if Rashi Zok Tabach, he thinks you're not Yotze B'diavad if you're not Marich. Because if we don't, and we don't Zok there, we pass like that you're allowed to be Marich. So we're not Choshev for that Shita. So once you could be Marich, you have to be Marich. Now,
How much?
The Bach saying,
till 3,
wait,
till 3. He says you have to make.
What do you do with Toysis?
What do I do with Toysis? What's the problem with Toysis?
He
He says the kuli. So Kiptach is like this. Lefi the Bach lekuli alma a shever has to be 3.
Why?
1 second. The kuli alma shever has to be 3. In the Rishonim we have a pasha the cheshbon hechrich why it has to be 3. And in Rashi it's because Agos Sheri says now. Even 1 second. Even lefi the Ritva goes with Rashi, and the Ritva says no, don't have 3. But
Here.
like I pointed out.
Hashem Tekias now is 3. It's 3 that's Hashem Tekias. Doesn't accept that.
No. Tosfos mean the Rivan don't accept that? Of course they do. The whole Tosfos accepts the Taina. It's Machmir. It's a Tekias, it's possible. Right. The Bach is saying, right, so this is exactly what the Bach is saying. I'm going to ask your question, Naga, good question. The Bach says, because we don't pass in Tosfos, we pass like the Ramah, who's Chaylik on Tosfos. Exactly. But he's saying, in terms of Shitas Rashi, don't think that you could be Marach Lefi the Ramah. You're Mechuyev to be Marach Lefi the Ramah. Kemavur Bagos Hasheri, that if you don't get beyond 2, it's not enough to be beyond 1. If you don't get beyond 2, you're not Makayim V'shteit, that you're Ma'arichem B'gnich Chesed, and it doesn't have a Shem Shever. Now, my point is like this. So Lefi the Bach and Rashi, you have to have 3. So you're saying, oh, but in Taisus Alain, you certainly can't have 3. You can't have 3. Nachon. So what could you have? What do you have to have? 2. Even that's not clear. And L'maisel L'chor L'fiz L'chor, we should say like the Ritva, to be Mimayt L'pukta. But the Ritva says fine. So where's the Kiyam? So L'maisel, L'fi Taisus, where's the Kiyam of Marichem B'gnich Hussein? So the Ritva says, you're right, it can't be 3, but it can't be 2 either. 2 is too short. Even in the sheet of Tosfos, that it has to be shorter than 3. So we assume, yeah, it's 2. And that's what the Mat Ephraim assumed. That's a very fair assumption. But Baruch Hashem, Zechinu Lo'irasha Ritva, and the Ritva says Lahedya, no, everyone's masking 2 is no good. Everyone. Meaning it could be L'kuli Alma Mamish, except for the Achrein, we didn't have the Ritva, that even in the Chumrah of Tosfos, that you have to be very careful not to go to 3, but you have to be also very careful to be more than 2 is up to Ritva. The Ritva says Lahedya, he says that's Bishtaim V'oid K'tzas. You know, we're talking with that kuyot. Again, we're going to have some kind of a stopwatch, millimeter stopwatch, millisecond. But al kapanim, that's what the Ritva says. That 2 is not kosher. But oifen the nimtzo. Means longer. So I'm just saying we have 3 possibilities. 2, that would be like the pashtos. And lefi Tosfos l'chor, you have to say 2. What I'm saying is la halacha lefi the Ramah and how we pass on the halacha. He says v'chein nagu. So you could have more. The Bach points out there's another reason because the etzem taich of a genuchi that you're mechuyev to have 3 lefi that sheet. You have to have 3. And that's what the Bach says halacha ma'asav ein l'shanis. Because less than that, he's coming from Rashi. The Agos Hasheri quotes Rashi. The Agos Hasheri quotes Rashi. He says ma'arichem b'gnich chasen. He says if you make your shmarim kotzer, you're not yotze. I don't think he's not talking about making 1 cut.
If you're coming from Rashi,
but if you're coming from Rashi,
I'm
talking about no. You mean Tosfos b'das Rashi and Chanami. So I'm just
Rashi
saying.
without Rashi is 1. But Yelila is 1, right?
Yes, but more than that is lav dafka genuchi because there's a taich of genuchi. So the Mat Ephraim says like this. Mat Ephraim says once it's more than 1, piktei miyalili. Say there.
If you're coming from Tosfos up to 9,
I'm not coming from Tosfos. I'm coming from Rashi.
Say 3.
Even if you Rashi, it's lav dafka muchrach bechlal. That if you have more than 1, 2 is automatically genuchi. If there's a taich to genuchi, so that's a ritva. The Rishonim say ritva in this shita, the most machmir shita, you cannot have 3 and 3 is possible because it's a shame tkiya kanal. So it's a shame tkiya is 3, so you have to make it less. It says the Ritva, be very, very careful not to make it 2. Because just like you'll passel your shever with 3, you'll passel your shever with 2. That's what the Ritva says.
But the Bach is Chiddush.
Why? I'm not talking about the Bach now, I'm talking about the Ritva. You'll passel your tkiya with 2, because Lefi Rashi, Ma'arichem b'gnich chasen, it's Hagos Hasheri, which we pass in Halacha Ma'is, the Ramah quotes Hagos Hasheri Halacha. If you pass that shita, so it has to be 2.5.
So the Bach is against the Ritva.
Why don't we have a sheet of 4?
Bach is for sure against the Ritva. The Bach is going in a different shita b'chal. No, there's a machlokes Rishonim. There's shitas Tosfos. In Tosfos, the first shita in Shulchan Aruch, you have to have 2.5. What we're saying, and in the Ramah, you're mechuyev to have 3. That's the Bach.
Why, if this is the case, why are we not machmir for 4? And as much as Tosfos says that Yelila is 3 kolos, and we know a shvarim is more than whatever that 1 Yelila, which is 3, have 4. Because we're in the world of Tosfos where you can hit up to 9. So why are we sticking? Why are we at 2.5?
What does it help you for?
No, because it's longer than his Yelila of 3. I'm saying why are we stuck around 2 and 3? What should I machmir? Go up to 9. Go up to 8.5.
With which sheet do you want? In Rashi, you can't go past 2.5. In the shita of Tosfos in Rashi, you can't go past 2.5. It's because you're going to become a tekiah.
The Makaber is not watching the Das Tosfos?
Okay, so let's just make Seder here for a second before we go back there. So, what I'm saying is just a very clear hesber where we get from the chidushim of the Yavitz and the chidushim of the Yad Ephraim to halacha l'maisa. Because what we're saying now is the halacha l'maisa kimavur be Ramah, Bach, Magen Avram, and the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah says halacha l'maisa. The proper way to make shvarim is you must make your shever 3 kodesh. That's the Mishnah Berurah says halacha l'maisa. That's the minhag like the Bach, lefi the Ramah, and it's hakapadu lefi zeh. It's hakapadu to make the after. When?
When you did 3?
So the Bach, you're only Yotzei Rashi can do 3. Again, which Rashi? There's 2 Rashis. There's the Rashi of Tosfos and there's the Rashi of the Mordechai who says we don't accept the Chumrah of Tosfos das Rashi. We learn Rashi like the Ramah. Shitas Rashi, lefi the Ramah, is that there's no hakpada miseder l'seder. So oy bazoi, the only way to be Yotzei Rashi maricha beginning chaysein is with 3. The only way to be Yotzei, 2.5, not Yotzei lefi Rashi. Zok the Bach lekuli alma. What does he mean lekuli alma? He means lekuli alma lefi Rashi how we paskin and lefi Tosfos.
And once you know
Not the
why you
Mechaber.
stop
Lefi the Mechaber, what I'm saying, one second. Lefi the Mechaber, you can't have 3. But what I'm saying is, you talking ma'oid, you have a ritva, it can't be 2 either. It has to be 2.5.
What's Tosfos with this? Because if Tosfos learned that 1 Yalila is 3 Yalilas of Rashi, then more than that, the Shever has to be more.
Who said it has to be more? No one said it has to be more. That's different surah, it doesn't have to be more. The guy learns like you, but that's not halach. That means the Mishnah Berurah quotes that also. Mishnah Berurah quotes a tzad to make the shvarm even longer. You're right, there is a tzad like that. Okay. It's not based on that because again, there's no hechrach that shvarm have to be longer overall than true. Okay, now, so what should bother us about this halacha l'maisa? That we're making shvarm with 3 kodesh. That's the halacha. We make shvarm with 3 kodesh. What should bother us? That at least in one side in Rashi, that we don't paskin agav, we're not being yotzei. Meaning the Mechaber, the Tosfos is Rashi, who says that when you have 3, it's a shame tekiya, that we're talking not being yotzei. So the emes is enechanam not being yotzei, and I don't understand like gas. Who cares? Of course we're not being yotzei Rashi. That's not how we pass. We pass like the Ramah says v'chein noegin. And if you look in the source where the Ramah is coming on Agos Hasheri, which the Bach is medayik hativ, it's not his chiddush. He's just reading what it says in the Agos Hasheri. Agos Hasheri says if you're makatzer with your shevi, you're not going to be yotzei. So we're just doing what it says in the Ramah. Shalom myself. But I just want to point out 1 second that so come along the Lamdonim and say no, we're yotzei everything. We're even yotzei Rashi lefi Tosfos. Okay, I'm trying to be mass with this. And their taina is, as everyone may have noticed, being in Yerushalayim a couple of years, is that the shvarim, there's 2 ways to make shvarim. You can make it with a kol pashut, just a shorter kol, like it's mashma from this whole discussion. Or, like we know, the minig lita to make the shvarim is hutu to hutu, some kind of broken, funny kol. Hutu to hutu. And the taina is that if you do that, you do a hutu, let's say you do a hutu is 3 koiches. Hutu, the hu is 2, and let's say it comes to 3 koiches, however you cheshbon it. The idea is keep true to that, being yotzei zayin what it says in all the poskim, and it's 3 koiches. But since it's a 3 koiches, that's a very funny koil, it's a hutu, it's a different shir, it's a different niggin, so there's no chash, and the meiler yotzei zayin, nishnar lefi all the rishayin. Nishnar lefi the Rashi, the way we pass in the Ramah, you even yotzei the Mechaber. The Mechaber had a problem of going to 3, that was only in a kol pashut. Once you have a hutu, it's no problem. Why? Because the nafkamina between a shever and a tekiya is not only in its length, but also in its niggin. So if you have a different niggin, don't say tekiya.
That wouldn't be a kosher tekiya? That wouldn't be good if somebody has...
Oh, very good. You're asking very good. You're asking very good. So let's just get this clear. So the Yisoid l'davar zeh is kfar matzinu b'divrei rishonim. The Rishonim are all handling this nekuda mamash. What are we going to do about Rashi? We have to be machmer for Rashi, not to be marach b'kol. So the Ramban says that Tosfos has a shena point that if you're going to be marach till 3 koiches, it's a problem. You should take a bizarre zok the Ramban. So the Ramban, it's a little unclear. It's in the drushes. The Ramban says, but be'emes maker, then you don't have to be machmer because the etzem taich of Yelili and Geluchi is a different niggin. So Hagam. That you're being marich, but you're being marich with the niggin that's not a regular straight call. He speaks out that the tekiya is like a straight call, a straight havaras call. It doesn't change from getting 10. It keeps the same tune from getting 10. Mashenk in the shever that it's mashma has a different niggin. So Dr. Ramban, even if your shever is the same size as your tekiya, that's the teretz. That would be a reason not to be zoya. Now I just want to point out that
it's nicker. It's not a tekiya. That's all shot.
Yeah, let's say it's nicker. But lamaisa. I just want to point out that it's not like a klarzach. Oh, the Hutu takes care of the problem. It's the Ramban is alzeh gufa anudanin. That's gufa what is needed in the Ramban. And the Ramban says it doesn't take care of the problem because the Ramban says you should be zahir. And he said you should be careful. He's quoting the chumrah of Tekias not to make 3. So he says it's not such a chashash to make 3 because we have a different niggin anyway. So I'm asking that the Hutu helps, but you see it doesn't take care of the problem in Gansin because the Ramban himself Teich Kedei says, but you should still be machmir. Now, and I think the reason why, that's another taina. Tekias you see doesn't have such an eitz, and I think it's like the Ramban says. The Ramban says I know that Kaviyachal. The Ramban says I know that taina. It's a good taina to make a Hutu, but afal pikein l'chayr you should be machmir. And why? And l'chayr that's like Rabbi was pointing out that we know the din is kol hakolos ksherim l'tkiya. So the Ramban it sounds like it was a shtickle in v'lav rafi b'yodei. If you have a long thing with the shear of a tekiya and has a shtickle niggin, meaning it goes up, it goes down, which happens sometimes in the tekiyas, will that taka not be a good tekiya? But if you hold that's a kosher tekiya, so then memela kim techayz, you don't really help anything. It sounds like the Ramban wasn't 100% sure about this point. He says it's a good taina, you should taka bizar, but I don't think it's mamish ikuva because anyway we have the different niggin. So memela. What I'm saying is, even the minhag lita to have the Hutu shvarms, that itself is not the pitaron that we found the new eitzah to take care of all the problems. The real answer is that we never had a problem to begin with, and that we just are being noyek kifiva shtein namah. That we're being yoytze zayin Rashi, Tosfos, and all the Rishonim lefi das haramah. And there's enachanami at tzad in Rashi. In Rashi we have many tzaddim. We have at tzad you need 3. We have a tzad you can get away with 2. We have a tzad you need 2.5. So in Achanami, in one side in Rashi, the Ramaz doiche, that we're talking potentially not being Yitzeh. So the Hutu helps, Zok the Ramban. That's exactly what the Ramban says. Taka helps, but the Maisa afal pikin you should be Zahir. And the Meil Ledidan that we're not Zahir and Fakir, we hold it's a kula to make a shorter shvarm because you're not going to be Yitzeh to feed the Yishonim, and you're also not going to be Yitzeh to feed Kamadeis Barashi. So Meila, we go with the Ikar Halacha to do a shear of 3.
Just partial. This another Seder Tekias. There's no about Tosi. You make a Tanai. This is the halacha kacha.
More koilas, you're saying?
No. Do you heard the 30 shvarim and then stop? Do another 30 shvarim.
Yeah, right. So you could just be married.
Make
So
a Tanai,
emphasis. So some have such a minhag that the shlosh macharis after davening they make very short shvarims. So first of all, the Ramah says not to. The Ramah says the minhag is to do them all longer, and I don't think it's ever the hanaga. I don't think we're really marviach anything. Same time after davening, do the double. Especially shlosh macharis, I think it's taka michshol because the shlosh macharis after davening, it's better to not make it in. It's just the mekayim and the mea koilas. The Lamaisa the Ramah already says all of them should be longer. But Lamaisa bizmanenu, it's yadua that the noshim who want to come to be Yitzhak Mitzvah Tekias Shofar, so they don't come for all davening usually for mea koilas. And some noshim come for the first shloshim, some come by Musa for the middle shloshim, some come for the last shloshim. So I think the noshim should also be Yitzhak feed the Ramah all the Rishonim, not feed one das yachid that we don't pass, which is the shorter shvarim of 2 koiches. So after that you want to stam blow Yishai for the whole day, unless maybe it's a shvus of being a cash load. Now, so Emma says this Ramban is shoni b'machloikis. The Ritva Bayos is already mefurish that's not the pshat. And this Emes might be something to be mehader for is that the Ritva is mefurish not like the Ramban. The Ritva says that the shever is taka the same niggin as a tekiya. It's just a question of shorter or longer. Ma'am shlafuki the Ramban. The Ramban says there's no the ikar nafkamina at least. It's not the length, it's the niggin. And the Ritva says no, the ikar nafkamina is actually the length, and that's what many have a minute to have shram shooters.
So
what's that?
I'm saying
that's just different minhagim. I don't think either one's ma'akev according to either one. Even the Ritva who says that it's kolos prutim, it's mufurish came out in the Ritva that it's not ma'akev b'diavad for benuche for the shvarim, and it's only ma'akev if you do that to your tekiya. If you mess up your tekiya with
then you have to go back.
So it's not clear exactly what that means, the Ritva, how badly you messed up your tekiya. So Yeshayim, it's mash from the Ritva, it's only if you give it like a knetch at the end. But what happens very often with tekiya is that in the middle it just changes tones. So that's okay, that's what's the chumrah of the diskin, Yesh machmir mazeh, mekar adin, the place are make.
You said is machmir for switching from tekiya of one throughout the shot, right?
In Rashi.
Meaning, so how long should the shvarim be? As far as you show, how long should you, it's a different halacha. We're machmir for that Tosfos that you go from one side.
How does the mechaber pass mekar adin? It sounds like a yitzin if you eat a shita. The mechaber. Mechaber brings those shitas. That's what the Achrim Medayik. That's he wasn't machzik. He could go with either shita. So you can make them longer or shorter. You'll be able to,
three.
just don't make it target disassi minei obey. Now I just want to get to the final point, and that is the chiddush of Chaim. That I don't know if they're knowing like this in all the kaimis that go kafim minik brisk, but l'maisa what they bring, that's a Moshe Sternbach Zvigarichs about this. The Reb Chaim had a different eitzah to be able to say in the Kuliyam, even lefi the shitas Rashi aliba de mechaber, that you need dafka not to get the gimel koiches, and even without being soymech on the hutu, because again, it's come out first in the Ramban that hutu is a ma'ila, but it doesn't take care that it's not poter the ba'aya be'etzem. What takes care of the problem is the achra of the Ramah. But if you don't want to be soymech on the achra of the Ramah, you want to be machmer b'shita. So Reb Chaim pasha the eitzah, make short shvarms, only 2 koiches. So I pointed out that Sai we have a taina the bach, that the etzem ahusa v'genuche is that it's longer, and Sai we pointed out that if you all the Rishonim were all first that shvarm have to be 9 koiches. So Reb Chaim says, Seder, let it be 9. 2 times 3 is only 6, so add more shvarms. Like it says, you're allowed to always add more in Tekias and Shuas, so add more shvarm. Add shvarms until you get to a shear of 9. Right? And the middle you get Sai Rashi and Sai Taisus. What about the Bach? Oh, so Klor, you don't get the Bach. And again, the Bach wasn't the Chiddush of the Bach. The Bach, really all he's doing, he says, Ayin, the Beis Yosef quotes Pashat Agos Hasheri. Agos Hasheri says that there's an etzem taich of the etzem genuche, that it has to be longer. And the emes is, even Lefi Taisus, from what I understand, the minig was to do a lot of two koiches, 5 times 2 to get to not more than 9. Well, Lamaisa, what we point out, Lefi the Ritva, L'kuli Alma Mamish, even Lefi the Mechaber's Rashi, you can't have 2, you have to have 2.5. Kashem Oid L'tzamtzim. But Akapanim Zikr, you don't have the Bach. And the Bach is Be'etzim, he's just pointing to the Ramah. The Ramah quotes Takos Hasheri, who says this. He says, don't be Mekatzer in your Shvarim. The Taki Moshe, the what's it called, the Beis Yosef brings such a thing, the minig to be Mekatzer. He says, Anu Loina again came. We don't make it too short, because the Gosher says, if you do, you're not going to have a Genuchi of Rashi. That's Zikr. But what about the other time? What about Lamaisa Lulei the Bach Alein, and if you're not Medaik the Rashi, which okay, maybe Reb Chaim held he wasn't Meshubah to that. That's not clear that chiluk is brought lahalacha that each one has to be.
So then why is he?
But how does he? What do you marviach bechlal? So I'm just saying is that the emes is Lefid Varenu. I can't understand where Reb Chaim's coming from, because Lefid Varenu chutz from the Bach. Where does it come from? The older Rishonim say Shvarim have to be 9. So it's just a cheshbon that they're working backwards, like we pointed out. That really they should have a hanocha that a tekiya has to be 9. That's the only thing the Rashi says. That's the hilchasa, and that's what the Meiri says. A tekiya of 3, crazy. That's not a tekiya. The tekiya had to be 9. And Mela, since tekiya had to be 9, so Mela the sheer tekiya kitrua, or it's before in the Gemara Lefi the Rashi that tekiya and true the same thing. So Mela the shvarim have to be 9. But if that's true, that the only hechrich is machmas that we're vising from tekiya that shvarim, so maybe it just means the overall shvarim have to reach 9. The k'tzas smuchim l'davar zeh would be from what the Rishonim say. The Rishonim say a very funny thing. They say, you want to make a tekiya longer, no problem. And that's a Mefurish Mishnah. The Mishnah says, if you're marach in your tekiya much longer, so it's okay. Say the Rishonim, Ulafi zeh, Taisus, this is the Nusach, there's different Nuschos in the Rishonim, the way they say it. The way Taisus says it is that Ulafi zeh, you can also add shvarms. If you can make your tekiya longer, and you can add more church, you can also make more shvarms. And l'chayr k'tzach tzarchim b'zeh. L'chayr, there's no raya. Tekiya, after all, if there's no shir lamala, so when you're moisef, it's the same tekiya, you're just making more of it. Mashen came to be moisef more shvarims, l'chayr, it's a different call. Meaning, shvarims come with a hefsek. So if you're you do 1, 2, 3, and you finish, and then l'chayr, you're in trouble. So it's mashma k'tzas, that the etzem taich of shvarim is just a group of broken kolos that reach 9. And when you add more, Taisus is saying it's azayvi making a longer tekiya. So if it's azayvi making a longer tekiya, yesh k'tzas mashmos, that it's specific, it's a broken kol. But if we're not meshubah to the bach, which we should be, because the bach goes to shady. But if not, you could hear why you would think it's an overall kol echad. That Taisus mashma, it's a kol of 9 koichas of broken kolos. So Mela, there would be welcome to say. Now, the problem is
the Rashba does not say.
Does not say like what?
The time of the Bryce is over the Genuch Teganach, behind him Shvarm Gedolim, the Yish Bechol Shever Tei Shalosh Yavavis. And then Benimtzu Nam Yishashir.
First of all, the Rashba says it. Second of all, the Meiri says it. Ubi Yoiser, the Ramban says a different husband than Taisvus. Taisvus says, you know why you're allowed to add more Shvarim? Because it's as if you're making a longer Tekiyas. So that's the pshat, that it's one long coil of broken things. So as long as it's broken, 2 is enough for each one. Masha'ein Kain, the Ramban in Droshes says, you know what's the pshat you're allowed to add Shvarim? Because min b'mina ain't a chaytzitz. So that's mavur That the pshat is not that it's like one big coil and that you're being moisav like as though you're being moisav on the tekiah. It's before that you're adding more shvarims. Just it's unnecessary and it's not part of the culture. I should be a hefsek. So I'm talking about nimbamina eda chaytzitz. But meil lafizeh would be mashma that the vada can't be a chiluk of being yotzizan your teish koiches that are chayav medina. And the Emes says the Beis Yosef brings a rekeach. The rekeach seemingly entertained such a tzad because the rekeach says he had a girsa in his gemara. His father, he quotes his father. He had a girsa that it said shvarim, didn't say shloisha shvarim. No, it didn't say shloisha. So Zakta Rekeach, you could have two also, two shvarim. Two shvarim is enough. Chari means to make longer shvarim. I don't know what his cheshbon with the Tekias is, but he said you could have two. And the Beis Yosef is doiche. Beis Yosef says no, it's a din in three. Our girsa is three. So it's mashma that there's a halacha that you have to be yotzam to three shvarim to get to the shear of 9. And the pasha has briz, like the Bach says. That the chayr that goes to shiri, the tainal halacha is that there's a shear of a genuchi that zikr has to be at least 3. And the mele, and like we said, even if you want to be Yitzhak in the Mechaber, the Ritva says the Pshat Mechaber is not 2, it has to be 2 v'oid. So I don't know exactly what they're doing in the Reb Chaim type of sharims, if it's map that it's more than 2. Kipshuta not. Kipshuta doing like the Mat Ephraim, who didn't see the Ritva. The Mat Ephraim says 2. Lefi Rashi Kipshuta it is 2. But once you have the Ritva that's Masbir, that even Lefi that Shita, that it's not 3, it should be at least close to 3, it shouldn't just be 2. So L'chayra, it's a tema to be yotzei zayin your tekias, to try to be yotzei zayin 2, which is mamish das yachid shebetoich das yachid shebetoich das yachid. It's a shita of Rashi al liba de Tosfos that we don't paskin, that the Ramah is made the minig is kenegdoi, and if you're going to do that, at least do 2.5, because if you're going to just do 2, then it could be you're not even be yotzei that shita kemavur beritva, and the meilo the minig ravach, which is to make the longer. To make the longer shvarim, the taste of hutus, which is 3, or to make a kol pasha of 3, is azais. And that's like all the poskim say. It's like the Mishabura brings from all the poskim that the shir v'sheva should be 3, and the halacha you're allowed to be ma'irich. It should be most of one thing. We'll see as we go along the Shittas Rambam, which you didn't really get into, that the poskim all say you can be ma'irich a shever way more than 3, until 6 or until 9, depending on the tekiah of that seder. A ma'isa, what some of the svarim point out, that there's a chashav hiddur. Even if you're being marich, more like the Ramah says, the minig is to be marich, not to go more than 4.5, because 4.5 is the sheer tekiah kipshuto lefi the Rambam, the way the Maggid Mishnah says. Because lefi the Rambam, sheer tekiah is a half a trua, so that's 4.5. So meaning, what I'm saying is, I've been in some body measures where they go to the other extreme. They say the Ramah minig is to be marich, and they make these shvarims of mamish too very long. And once they're l'chayr getting to chashash 6 koiches, 9 koiches, which the Mishnah says a problem medina. L'chayr, the point is just to be normal, make a normal shever. 3 koiches like the Ramah says, and if it goes a little longer, make it a little bit longer. L'bazeh yotzin l'kuliyam. The going does.